Google has just announced a whole boatload of exciting AI updates, including their new video model, which allows us to generate video, voice, sound effects, and music using a simple prompt and get pieces of media like this.
This ocean, it's a force, a wild, untamed might.
Beyond that, their new image model is also available to try for free now, generating some incredibly detailed and realistic images like this. There's also a music model, a AI filmmaking tool, and so much more that we're going to break down in this video. First up is VEO3, which is Google's video generation model, and this has some major advancements. VEO3 is giving us higher quality video generation with audio and speech. You can generate speech simultaneously, such as dialogue and voiceovers. And you can also generate synchronized audio, such as music and sound effects, all in one model. Now, this is a powerful combination of different media types that you can generate all at the same time. Now, let's take a look at some of the most interesting examples.
They left behind a ball today. It bounced higher than I can jump.
Oh, what manner of magic is that?
So as you can see here, this entire clip was generated with just one prompt. Everything from the characters to the sound effects and even the voices. And this is a major step forward in unifying different pieces of media into one comprehensive piece of content. Here's another example that showcases quite simply how incredible the sound design AI is. Take a look at this. Now, the sound is incredibly cinematic, crisp, and evocative. It really brings to life this scene in a way that is not just a cliche or a gimmick, but it's actually meaningfully useful. I can imagine the possibilities of rendering out advanced cinematic clips with incredible sound design using this method, and I can't wait to see the capabilities. But if you're a cinematic AI filmmaker like me, you'll also want to see the possibilities of lip syncing. And now this is where Google VEO3 really comes into its own. Its lip syncing capabilities surpass anything I've seen before. Here is an example of that.
This ocean, it's a force, a wild, untamed might. And she commands your awe with every breaking light.
Now, this is incredibly interesting for a few reasons. First of all, it creates not only a fantastically realistic voice that uses wonderful emotional intonation, but the lip syncing is absolutely incredible. Just look at how well the lips match to the words. Now, this is also made increasingly difficult because we're seeing the character at an odd angle. Usually, lip syncing only works well if you have a character facing the front of the camera, like I am here in this shot. But here we see the character angling his head and it keeping wonderful synchronicity between the lip movements and the audio. Now, currently VEO3 is available for Ultra subscribers in the US, but they are bringing it to more platforms and more countries in the coming weeks. Now, we've also been given the prompts that were used in these examples, and taking a look at those reveals an interesting approach to how prompting is going to work in the VEO3 model. Now, for the speech, it simply added this in quotations. It has not given any information about the type of voice that he should have, but it simply defines the character, the shot, and then adds the speech in quotations. Now, we've also got some remarkable animated sequences coming out of VEO. Take a look at this one. This is a beautiful stop motion, and the characters are incredibly engaging and quirky. I love the details of the buttons on this man's jacket, and the whole scene works extremely well together. This is an example of a dramatic cinematic shot, and what I love about this is just how well the secondary characters are working in the background, that they're moving through the scene in a way that enhances the atmosphere and it doesn't detract from it. As well as that, they're moving all in a sensible and coherent way. There is nobody moving backwards or, shall we say, acting in a way that detracts from the scene. Now, I'd also like you to pay attention to the subtle movements of the actors in this shot and just how lifelike these are. If you see her gesturing here, it really adds a sense of realism. There is definitely a sense of frustration emanating from these two characters. Perhaps they're discussing an escaped suspect, or perhaps one of them is leaving the other and they're never going to see them again. Now, one thing I'd like to draw your attention to in this shot is just how accurate all of the extra details are. Every element in this shot seems to make sense. There's no morphing or glitching or unrealistic background subjects. And this really adds to the consistency and the effect of this piece. Even looking at the details on the map, they look logical and sensible. And you can see that he even points to what appears to be the most important part of the map. Now, just how well this scroll is rendered on this side of the screen is absolutely beautiful. And take a note of how the paper flutters as he marks it with his hand at the start of this shot. Like just there, he moves his arm and it flutters on the edge. Beautiful consistency. Now, I think this is one of the most impressive examples coming out of VEO3. If you look at all of the fantastic details in this shot, firstly, we have drops of mud springing across the camera lens. And not only that, but the splashes that come out of the water from this 4x4 vehicle are so beautifully rendered that they give an incredible sense of being there. Now, I also want you to note about just how effective the drops are, because if we look at the start of the shot, you can see there are just a few drops, and then after a huge big splash, we suddenly get more drops appearing on the screen. Now, let's take a look at this piece, and this is absolutely astounding because it's rendered out not just the video, but also the audio here. Now, I am by no means a violinist, but to the untrained eye, it does appear as if the bow is moving in time with the musical notes, and that is quite frankly remarkable. Now, one thing that VEO3 is boasting is improved prompt adherence, being able to follow a series of actions and scenes with greater accuracy. Now, in this example, we have the prompt: a delicate feather rests on a fence post. A gust of wind lifts it, sending it dancing over rooftops. It floats and spins, finally caught in a spider web on a high balcony. Now, we can see that this complex set of actions is easily created and that everything fits perfectly to the proposed prompt. In this example, we have a fast tracking shot through a futuristic city with buildings made from reflective organic chrome. It is daytime. Rainbows and an alien planet fills the sky. Camera zooms into a robotic bee working inside a reflective organic chrome. Now, what I particularly admire about this example is how it moves from one environment to another. It goes from this outdoors to indoors shot, and it does that seamlessly without any distortion or break in the motion. Now, this is an example of a paper boat sets sail in a rain-filled gutter. It navigates the current with unexpected grace. It voyages into a storm drain, continuing its journey to unknown waters. Now, if we look at the quality of the water here, it really absolutely feels realistic. The subtle murmurations on the surface, as well as the beautiful reflections of the environment. It is an extremely complicated situation, and it's only if you pay a lot of attention that you can start to sense that perhaps there's something slightly unusual about this, perhaps around the edges of the water. Now, if you notice anything that I have missed about inconsistencies in these videos, do let me know in the comments. And if you are new here, I'm AI Samson, and on this channel, we aim to explore the latest developments in AI technology and see what we can create. I'm glad to have you here. Now, interestingly, they have not just released the new VEO3 model, but they've also added a number of capabilities to their VEO2 model, which allows for much greater control. Now, let's take a look at what they've added into VEO2, because some of the control features are simply best in class. Now, what we can do with VEO2 is we can upload different elements and use those to inform the videos that we generate. For example, here, it's possible to use an image prompt of a character and also an image prompt of a scene, and then keep almost perfect consistency between the two. Now, note here that even the mop and bucket here is included in the shot. The only thing I would pull out here is that perhaps the woman's dress looks slightly larger in the image prompt, and her hair also looks slightly more voluptuous. Now again, the stylistic continuation is incredible. Here, it's possible to use a style image reference and then ask for different contents within the video. So this one uses an origami lion, but then the output video requests an origami cat. But this is also possible to generate completely different characters. For example, here are a group of slightly disturbing dancing children that I have to say is more the stuff of nightmares than of a approachable children's video, and also this one of a school bus. Now, the possibilities for consistent characters are vastly improved, and this is absolutely astounding to see how well VEO3 manages to keep consistency of all elements of a character from one shot to another. Now, this is essential for creating any meaningful work of film, as we have to make sure that our characters look the same from shot to shot and scene to scene, or else it completely belies the believability. Now, this is a particularly interesting example, and the reason is because if we note exactly the markings of this character, you can see how well it does at keeping the exact yellow dots in the same place from shot to shot. And beyond that, I would even say that the gait, the walking style of this character is maintained from shot to shot. He has this slight wobble from left to right and almost a slightly naive or clumsy footpath. Next up is camera controls, and this allows you to have precise control over the framing and exact movement of shots in your video using camera controls. Now we can look at a few different examples that have all been applied to the same image prompt. And you can see here we can use a move back prompt, and this zooms out, revealing more of the contextual elements around our characters. Conversely, zooming in allows us to come in closer to the faces of the two protagonists in this shot. There's also a move up, which gives you a sense of panning across the characters, and a move right, which moves obviously to the right. Now they also have a first and last frame feature, which allows you to create extremely creative transitions from one shot to another. Now I want to show you the announcement video that they used at the very start of the Google I/O conference, because this demonstrates exactly how powerful this can be. So here you can see them counting down from 10 to 1 with 10 different videos that seamlessly transition between each other in beautiful and engaging ways. So each of these transitions is using this first and last frame feature to be able to take different shots and allow them to be put together in a way that is seamless and engaging. Now that boat is definitely not going to fit under that bridge, which is a little bit ridiculous. Why on earth would they show us this? And also, I would have to say that the continuation of this zooming out and then having a road right in front of the river is a little bit beyond reality. However, it does feel extremely creative, and it's certainly visually engaging, and it demonstrates the capabilities of linking multiple shots together in seamless ways. Now, another feature I'm particularly excited about is Outpainting, which allows you to take a video and expand it out. Now, we've had this for quite a while with images, but doing that with video opens up a whole new realm of possibilities. And some of the most interesting to me are, of course, being able to take a piece of media and regenerate it for different aspect ratios so that you can have a landscape video and then easily regenerate this quickly for a vertical format video. Secondly, it also opens up more of a possibility for generating VR related content. If we can keep expanding this out, it's possible to create AI VR content, and that's something that I'm very excited about down the road. Now, there's also the possibility of adding in new objects, and it says that VEO considers scale, interactions, and shadows to create a natural, realistic video, and you can see that it's wonderfully integrated this man into the existing shot. And this once again gives us greater capabilities for developing complex cinematic scenes. Now, equally, you can also remove an object. So you can seamlessly eliminate unwanted objects from videos, from distracting details to large items. VEO preserves the scene's natural composition, interactions, and shadows. Whenever I'm working out in the wild, whether it be in a cafe or restaurant, I always make sure to turn on a VPN. It's a small habit, but it helps me feel secure when I'm doing online banking or other private tasks online. And that's why I'm pleased to announce today's video partner, which is the VPN that I use, NordVPN. It helps keeps my connection encrypted on public Wi-Fi networks. So whenever I'm dealing with any sort of investment or private email communication, I make sure I've got my VPN switched on. And it's super easy to use. All you have to do is click on the button in your navigation bar, and you can select whatever country you'd like to connect to. So I usually connect to the UK, the US, or Bulgaria. And this is because I have areas of interest in each of those locations. Now, I personally love it because it allows me to catch up on the football highlights of my favourite team, Newcastle United, back in the UK, who just had a tremendous win over Chelsea at the weekend. Up the tune, I say, up the tune! But it is also useful for accessing different types of websites, because right now I'm in Indonesia and you cannot access some investment or crypto platforms whilst you are here, and this allows me to do so. Now, you can try it yourself by heading to nordvpn.com/AI Samson, and you get a special deal because you are coming from this link. And that deal is an extra 4 months on a 2-year plan, which is the one I have because it is the best value. Now, of course, there is a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely no risk in trying this out. It's essentially like a free trial. So I think if you're doing anything sensitive online, or if you are running a business online, personally on your own computer, this is an essential piece of kit that helps you stay safe, as well as access all sorts of global content. And a big thanks to NordVPN for supporting this channel. Now, another interesting feature is using that of live actors and applying their performances to AI-generated characters. So what you can do is you can take an input video, which you can see here on the left. You can put an input image in of an AI-generated character, and then you can sync the actor's facial expressions and lip movements to the image and generate an entirely new video. Now, with AI voice changing software, this brings up a whole host of possibilities for individuals to not only direct and create their own films, but also star in them as many different characters. Now, I was a huge fan of some of the films of the 2000s where comedians would play all sorts of different characters, such as in Austin Powers, where he would be playing all of the characters and interacting with himself, but also the Eddie Murphy film, The Nutty Professor. It was one of my all-time favorites. And this now opens up the possibility for us to do that ourselves, and even to a more extreme degree, where we're easily able to play the roles of other genders, other races, or even other types of animals. There's also a motion master control, which allows you to define the exact movement of objects in your video. Select an object and define their path, and VEO will bring them to life in motion. This is absolutely remarkable because it gives us exact and precise control over complex elements. Now, this is essential for any complex piece of composition inside of video cinematography. Next up, we have an entirely new storytelling tool for filmmakers, and that's called Flow. Now, this is a software where we will be using the different video models to create longer pieces of footage and combine them in interesting ways. Let's take a look at this new product. Here in their demonstration video, we can see some of the example shots that have been generated inside of this tool. Now, the idea here is that we're able to work with many different complex clips and integrate them seamlessly. Now, one of the interesting concepts that they have here is the idea of ingredients. And these are elements and resources that you can reuse between shots and scenes to allow you to maintain consistency and develop real pieces of video that will work together for complex projects. For example, here in this example, you can see that they're looking to maintain consistency of the car. Now, obviously, it's important to read any disclaimer, and here they are saying results for illustrative purposes and may vary. Sequences shortened, which essentially means is that what you're seeing here, you might not get in reality. But I still think this is an incredibly interesting tool and worth exploring. Now, one of the interesting parts of this is the ability to extend pieces of footage and also change the ending. So you can take a clip and instead of having it end in one way, you can choose an entirely different ending to the clip. Now, they call the asset management ingredients. And this allows you to bring in different images, such as a car, a jellyfish, and a seat, and use those to dictate the contents of your video. Now, currently, this is only available on the AI Ultra plan, which costs $125 per month, and you have to commit to a 3-month plan. But with this, you get VEO3, the ingredients feature, the highest monthly generation limit, so it's not exactly clear of what that is, and also 30 terabytes of storage, which is very useful, especially if you're already paying for a large data plan. Now, also, if you read the small print here, you get access to Project Mariner, which is another development on a different side of the tech stack coming out of Google, and it's another feature that is only available in their AI Ultra. And this is a research project exploring the future of human-agent interaction, starting with browsers. And essentially, this allows you to build agents that can go out and perform tasks on the internet. And it includes multimodal reasoning, which means it can observe and act based on the inputs that it receives. It can do things like finding personalized jobs, hiring a tasker to build furniture, or ordering missing ingredients. So with all of these features, it does make the AI Ultra plan slightly more attractive. Now, we've got some developments also to the image model from Google, and that is their new updated Imagen model called Imagen 4. And what's great about this is we can use that right away for free. And I'll give you a demonstration of exactly how powerful that is. Now, I've been using it using their tool Whisk. And now, if you're anything like me, the hundreds of different AI names for these different features gets a little bit confusing and overwhelming, especially when many of these different tools seem to be doing relatively similar things. And you can actually use the Imagen 4 image model in different locations. But we'll be using it in Whisk, because I particularly like their interface. You can see they put a lot of effort into making this seamless, sleek, and quite sexy. So you can simply enter the tool, and from here, you'll be taken to a image generation. And on the left-hand side, you have the option of adding a subject, a scene, or a style, and 3 separate types of image prompts. You can click this little dice icon, and it will randomly generate one for you as well. You can continue using the dice to generate random prompts, and then you have the option to select the aspect ratio. There is landscape, portrait, and square. And then you also have just a couple of parameters to deal with. And one is a seed and one is a model. Seed allows you to create more consistent outputs if you're repeating a prompt over and over. And the model is best quality or quality. So let's go ahead and run this prompt. We've got a street photography of a dog in a cute and fluffy hat. Purple and pink tones, quiet French cafe, diffused lighting. Now, let's also pop this into MidJourney at the same time so we can have a little comparison. Now, here are the 2 images that we got out from Imagen. And I have to say that these are fairly engaging, even if they have a slight stock footage feel to them, which is one critique I have always had of the Google models, that they feel a little bit too cliche, generic, and oversaturated. But what is beautiful about this is just how clear and well rendered all of the elements are. Now, if we see how the image came out from MidJourney, for me personally still, there is a clear winner, that the MidJourney image has such more creative character immediately impregnated into the output, that this dog looks incredibly frustrated, as if it's simply had the worst day of its life. It's come for an 11 a.m. cognac in the middle of Paris, and then it's suddenly being greeted by someone who's giving him a glimmer of hope that life is not all lost. Okay, I might have got a little bit carried away there, but please forgive me. Whereas this one, the dog has a beautiful outfit, but I don't feel connected to the dog in the same way. And also the character here just slightly hovering over them in the background is very distracting for a visual storytelling point of view. Now, of course, all 4 of these examples of MidJourney for me are clear winners. Now, I also ran a different prompt, and it was this one: beautiful model-like woman, mixed race with freckles on beach at golden hour, and we got out a beautiful output here. This really is extremely realistic, even though the composition, I would have to say, is slightly underwhelming. It's very middle of the road. It's rather safe. It does give us a wonderful realistic shot, and I particularly love how the light is refracting through her curly hair here, and also the expression that she has is extremely engaging. Now, I did the same prompt inside of MidJourney, and it came out with such a different variation. But I have to say that for me, the MidJourney version, again, wins out, simply due to the cinematic nature of this. It certainly feels much more artistically evocative rather than the Imagen version. But saying that, I must say that the realism of this is incredible. Now, what is good about this one is that at any moment you can go and animate these, and you get 10 free video generations inside of Whisk. And then if you want to upgrade, you can join one of their paid plans. Now, what is interesting about Imagen is it can generate in up to 2K resolution, and the fine details of this, particularly inside of intricate fabrics, water droplets, and animal fur, are exquisite. Now, it does do well in various mediums, and also the typographic renderings are excellent. Here we can see a wonderful packaging design for a pack of eggs, and even here a complex comic book strip has been effectively rendered, and you can see that the consistency between the typeface in each of the windows performs particularly well as the character consistency of the little guy. Now, it doesn't make exact sense why this man is here suddenly, but overall the piece is working well. Now, beyond images, we've also got a new music model coming out of Google, and this is called Lyra 2, and it provides powerful composition and endless exploration. Now, they say that this is actually available through YouTube Shorts, and you can create a custom soundtrack for your short. You simply enter in a prompt, and it will develop a full soundtrack for your video. Now, you can do this inside of the YouTube Studio whilst you're uploading and creating your shorts. And this is an interesting way that they've automatically and seamlessly integrated their new model into their large suite of product offerings. And this is something that puts Google in a unique position to take advantage of the generative AI opportunities. Now, you can also use this, of course, in different places. And one is to use it inside of the Media Studio inside of the Google Cloud Console. Now, you can simply enter in a text prompt and you get to generate 30 seconds of music. There's an option to put in a negative prompt, and you can choose how many results that you get. So I will just have 2. And here is how that came out. Now, beyond the generative AI models that Google has released, there are a number of other interesting projects that I think are particularly worth taking a look at. And one of those is Google Beam, and that is a new advanced AI-powered video conferencing software. And what this does is enables us to create much more lifelike 3D video conversations. And it does this by capturing your likeness from 6 different points and then generating a 3D rendering of you. Now, essentially, this is creating a much more compelling and interactive video conferencing solution. So it really feels that someone is certainly in your presence. Next up, they've also announced Project Astra, and this is a research prototype exploring breakthrough capabilities for Google products on the way to building a universal AI assistant. Now, in the demonstration for this, it's showing a user taking a walk and visibly showcasing different environments and asking questions to the AI assistant via a live video feed. And you can see that it's able to accurately understand the environment and contextualize complicated actions and situations. Now, another interesting development is their foray into creating a new set of AI glasses. And you can see the preview here. This includes having a front-facing camera and a microphone included in the set. Now, this allows you to converse with the glasses and ask it questions which it will then communicate back to you via open ear speakers. Now, I'm a little bit skeptical on the use of open ear speakers for privacy concerns and also distracting and disturbing anybody in your vicinity. But what this allows you to do is ask questions via the AI, as well as being able to take pictures and immediately get feedback on what's going on. Now, as for the aesthetic of these glasses, you would say that they have an interesting silhouette, and they may look a little bit bulky and a little bit, shall we say, nerdifying, but overall they do not look entirely out of place on a modern person's fashion Outlook. Now, they've also released Synth ID Detector, which is a way of recognizing whether a piece of media was generated using AI. However, it appears to only work for AI content generated with a Google model. They've also showcased a new Try It On feature, which allows you to see how different outfits will look on you whilst shopping. All you have to do is upload an image of yourself, and from there you can see exactly how the latest threads will appear upon your torso. There have also been a number of updates to their LLM model, Gemini 2.5, including native audio output for a more natural conversational experience, and the voice audio of Gemini 2.5 is very impressive, as well as improving across the board the metrics for their flagship LLM model, which is now leading the LLM tables across the board. Now, it looks like Google is taking a front seat on the AI development arms race. However, Apple will have its yearly conference in just a few weeks from June 9th to June 13th. So we can wait and see what Apple will bring to the table, because they have been somewhat behind in the race for integrating AI into their existing world of products and services. And we would like to think that Apple, based on its heritage, are able to make use of these grand advancements in capabilities and see how they can be put to use in meaningful, helpful, and creative ways. Now, let me know what you're most excited about from the Google I/O announcements. And if you are interested in diving deeper into the world of AI, do feel free to check out my courses in the link in the description. I also have an entirely free ebook which describes some of the ways that you can start making your own AI side hustle, so you can take advantage of the possibilities in AI today. Now, most of all, I want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. It's your support that makes this channel possible. If you know a friend who might find this video interesting, please feel free to share it with them. I would really appreciate it. Have a delightful day.